As we previously mentioned, Canadian communities account for 60% of energy use. This is predominantly related to the end use of energy in our communities to fuel our vehicles and heat our homes and businesses. After hearing from some experts, we hope the story is becoming clearer. Through land use planning and development decisions, planners can exert a long term influence on energy consumption and emissions of our communities. If we're going to influence the energy use of a community, we need to plan proactively. Unfortunately, this has not historically been standard practice. Discussions related to energy are frequently missing from conventional land use planning processes. In this next section, planning experts and public officials explore how this disconnect manifests itself and ways to bridge this gap. So, how exactly does land use planning influence energy consumption? Let's find out.
The biggest way, easiest way to reduce GHG emissions is to get people out of their cars. People get out of their cars when they can walk to the places they need to get to. So land use planning speaks to the mix, the different types of land uses and how they all fit together, how they should be separated or not. And current philosophy speaks to, if you mix them, if people can walk to the places that they need to shop and work and live and play, then they will do that, and they don't need to drive. So if a community has all of those, meets all of those daily needs in a tighter space, then people won't necessarily drive. And then again, that allows, so if you have a large area of that kind of higher density urban fabric, then transportation, public transportation, mass transportation becomes feasible that way. So planners in laying out what kind of uses can mix together, how they mix together, really contributes to the GHG production or reduction.
Well, when we think of planning, we set those in terms of jobs per hectare or buildings in terms of the number of people per hectare. When you put those kinds of factors into place at a land use level, we're actually determining how much, how fast, and where we're going to build and how we're going to move. So when you come down to planning, if you're going to actually start to influence energy demand before you even build it, you need to give thought to where you're putting your buildings, because where you put them starts to generate a transportation pattern. That transportation pattern actually sets out, even now, before we get into all the electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles, before all that even still happens, that is still very much relevant to the energy use pattern from daily trips. And you want to try and influence that as best you can. Two, it also affects the way kind of energy generation systems might be available. We've increasingly built around a centralized pattern, meaning that there's a pipe or a wire that moves an electron or a molecule to a building to create heat, cooling, or power. Good, but what happens when that land use pattern changes? Because now it's actually more cost effective, and the technology, which does exist now, is more readily available on site, right where your building is built, that can generate the power, or in this case, possibly the thermal energy that you need to heat and cool and power that building.
Energy planning or planning for energy consumption or reduction of that isn't done in the standard documents that we use. So they're called official plans and zoning bylaws, and they consider a lot of aspects, natural heritage, floodplain, all that kind of stuff on making the decision where those land uses go. Energy use has never really been thought of. So when a municipality kind of breaks outside of that and does the community energy plan, then everyone's thinking about that policy direction, and it can be folded into those other documents, or should be folded into those other documents for broader decision making.
Because land use planning is the way to do it from the onset. If we just keep building buildings to building code, we're locking in largely fossil fuel use for the most part, but also a future of just retrofits. It's just an incremental change. And while the building code has got better, it's just doing a better job of what we've been doing almost the entire 20th century. And let's do a reality check here. We're almost a fifth of the way through the 21st century. Maybe we need to do a transformative shift away from incremental and embed energy planning with the way we do land use and development. I say it's absent because land use planning really is just looking at some of the traditional approaches to planning, but there seems to be an interest amongst the discipline, both students, recent graduates, and planners working for municipalities to connect those dots. And if you think about it, it is the missing piece of master planning, infrastructure master planning. Most municipalities, particularly urban ones, have a transportation master plan, a water master plan, wastewater master plan. We have one for our airport. We have a waste management one. We have it for all the traditional infrastructure. How are you going to develop a community and grow an economy without an energy master plan?